Okay, welcome everyone. Would like to say thank you for joining us today on this webinar when we're going to be talking about how much code do you actually need to build your next conversational AI experience. With me, there is a team of conversational AI experts that are going to be introducing themselves in a minute. But let me just start with me. I'm Yolady Carvajal. I'm head of strategic marketing at Artificial Solutions. Artificial Solutions is a company that it's the company behind Teneo, a platform that allows businesses to build conversational solutions such as chatbots, virtual agents, and so on. So without further ado, I'm going to let my colleague Linette introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Linette, and I'm a developer advocate at Artificial Solutions. I can pass.
So, hello, everyone. I'm Mykola Sochynskyi. I'm a global partner manager here at Artificial Solutions, working with our wonderful ecosystem of partners and solution providers.
And then that's me. Hello, everyone. This is Joaquim Bargalló. I'm the Director of Customer Success, and I'm managing a team that is helping our customers and partners to embrace the technology to help in achieving whatever goals they're having in front of them.
Yes, and originally we were going to have another of our colleagues, Ben Case, but as it is common everywhere at the moment, he's been hit with COVID. So we hope that you are recovering well, and I'm sure that you are watching us right now. So take care of yourself, Ben, and we'll see you soon. And before we start, we just want to let everyone know that we're going to be answering questions after the discussion. So there is a question box that you can type your questions in. We'll receive those and try to get to all of those as much as we can, permitted by time. And also, we're going to be launching a few polls, and I'm going to be starting with the first one today, just to get some information about, what's the status of your conversational AI journey. And the poll question will be below the screen where you are watching us right now. And you just basically have to select your answer between those three. The question is, what type of platform are you currently using or planning to use to develop your next conversational solution? We have three options: the no-code platform, low-code, or procode platform, which is what we're going to be discussing today. And as part of that discussion, I'd like to start with, like an easy question. Can any of the three of you explain what a no-code, low-code, and a pro-code platform is for everyone in the audience?
Yes, so I'll take this question. So you can see that there are many trends in general with any development platforms right now. It's not just conversational AI platforms, but also platforms for websites and web applications. So there is this huge buzz around no-code platforms and low-code platforms coming from every corner, and it's quite hard to distinguish what it actually means. And there is several blurred lines, and it can mean a different thing for different people, that there will be different perspective from business perspective, from someone who is a product owner, and from the developer, or even inside the different roles that you can have in a team. For example, a data scientist or any copywriter, they may have a different view on how to use the platform and how they will evaluate the platform itself. And even the platform itself can be actually presented to different tiers differently. So you can have, for example, a platform that if you use for free trial, it presents itself as a no-code platform. And if you use it for enterprise purpose, then it can be a pro-code platform. So it can be very, very difficult to distinguish between those platforms. But from my perspective, to give you an answer, I look at it from the perspective of actually how many technical skills I need to build a solution and how far I can go with the platform and the ratio between it. So how much do I need to know in order to achieve the best potential of the platform itself? If it's, for example, a platform that you can build a rule-based chatbot, and you don't need to have any technical skills. And even you can do your integrations, and there is already prepared some boxes for you that you can just add some credentials with it that are really easy to find out. Then I would evaluate it as a no-code platform. But if you need, for example, some skill sets, for example, understanding NLP or how to build intents and entities, then I would say it's already like shifted to the low code or procode or the advanced platform. The most distinguishing thing between low code and advanced platform, as I see, is how far and how free I am to build anything. So when it comes to having several integration, and am I able to integrate to a system that the platform provider hasn't actually pre-built themselves? Am I able to, if I decide right now that I would like to integrate to, I don't know, LinkedIn, am I able to do it? Or am I restricted, right? So that's the most, that's how I see, that's my point of view. There may be different views from people from the business perspective and from the product owners.
So in summary, with code comes freedom a little bit.
Exactly. That's what I would say. But also responsibilities, right?
Yes.
That's a good point, right? How much freedom do you want before, you stop delivering outcomes, although you are really free. A little bit on the business side, right, to frame it. I have two really short slides that I wanted to share. One comes from Gartner, right? Because the low code, no code discussion it's, as Linette said, it's a trend, right? It's in the market. It's not something that just applies to conversational AI. It's something that applies to all development, right? And I like how they frame it. Maybe on the, let's say, low code, they are overly optimistic on how little involvement from IT do you need. And they, business is a term that can mean many things. But anyway, I like how they phrase it, that with the move towards low code, business can do more things with less involvement from IT, right? Like, let's say on the upper side, you have a traditional type of project where business, it's more of a customer, of a functional customer within the company, just maybe painting a couple of flows if we think about conversational AI and saying, this should be my overall customer experience, but there you go, IT, these are my requirements, go deliver something, right? Now the trend is more towards IT being on a supportive role for the business. The business builds everything, prepares the data, as Linette said, right? Like if they have accesses to the tools, some guidance, they prepare the data, they train the models, they can even do some basic integrations, and then go for IT, towards IT to build some connectors, right? So this is, a general trend. It's something that it's here to stay. And it's all about striking that balance, right? Like as Linette said, enough responsibility to be really flexible, to be able to innovate and tackle new use cases and new challenges without going overly free, right? Where you just have a mess and you don't know how to move ahead, right? And also, if you go to high degrees of freedom in terms of full code, right, then you require really specialized profiles to actually be able to deliver something. Now, with some real examples outside the general conversation, as I'm responsible for partnerships, right, I wanted to look at at an example from Microsoft, right? There are many offerings around conversational AI. And how they match, right? Because we get these questions many times ourselves, right? But I have Q&A Maker from Microsoft. I have Luis. I have Power BI or Composer. Why should I go for Teneo, for example? That's a fairly good question. And that's where we have built this little maturity curve, right? Like you can go for something super low code, simple to set up, Q&A Maker, have your basic FAQs, deploy it in a web chat somewhere or deploy it on Teams, and that's it, right? It was just one business resource on your end, build everything, maintain everything, and that's it, right? So that's as low code as it gets, right? Then you can graduate to Power BI, some deeper integrations. Then you can have additional degrees of freedom, like bot framework, like Composer, right? But then if you want to do, and this is another trend that we should discuss someday, if you want to have an omni-channel deployment that is consistent across channels, that it's heavily integrated, that handles context, and you want to have a team of 3, 4, 30 people working on the same platform, then Teneo plays a really good role, right? And I really like how Linette put it, right? It's those degrees of freedom that the platform gives you. And if you need more degrees of freedom, you need to add some scripting, some coding capabilities. That's unavoidable, right? It's really hard to provide a platform that is able to do anything that you may wish for without adding those more advanced features where a little bit of code or some heavy involvement of code is demanded, right? Yeah, that's a little bit of our point of view from the business perspective, right?
So yeah, maybe let me add my 2 cents here, because I think it's very interesting, Miko, what you're showing, how the business user is expanding what he can do compared to some years ago, right? So and IT is really getting this, supporting and making sure that things works, but business user can go further, no? And this is very much along the lines of my thoughts, because for me, low code is having the possibility of having a platform that is giving you visual tools, visual interfaces that makes your life easier when you are building a conversational AI solution. It's about having an easy way of managing the context, skipping conditions, triggers, even having training examples that you can drag and drop into the model to train the model, or even prepare a list of FAQs that you just easily import into the platform. No, I take a bit more the angle of how you develop that solution. Well, before being in customer success a year ago, I was managing professional services, right? So a lot of my comments will go very much from the angle of how you implement the solution, how you put all those ideas, requirements into reality. And I think it's very important that you work with a low-code platform that allows you doing all the basic natural language processing in a very easy way. However, do I believe that you can build strong conversational AI solutions only with these tools that are, yes, ready to be used without typing any code? Well, no. I mean, in my experience, if you want to have like a strong solution out there, a solution that is really answering questions from users, right? So I think that we are all tired in this forum to see chatbots out there that are popping up saying, yeah, if you need any help, just ask me. You ask the question, and they're not helpful, right? So how do you make a chatbot being helpful is understanding context, knowing you is able, and at the end being able to truly resolve your doubt to give you a definite answers, right? And that is what is deriving value, what is saving costs. So just let me put an example, right? Imagine that you are in front of a retailer web, and you just you are having one shirt or one white shirt in front of you, right? And you open the bot and you say, I want to buy one of these. This is about context, right? So it's one of these. It's obvious. It's white t-shirt that I want to buy. So the bot would engage you and say, what size are you looking for? Medium. Okay. And then the bot is saying, checking and saying, I'm sorry, but at this moment, there is none in stock. Do you want me to gather the email and then we notify you? So this is, for me, what it means giving useful answers, right? So the bot is there. There is some code that is connecting you with the backend systems, is checking stock, and it's coming back with the same answer as someone in the call center would give you, right? So, and not only that, is going beyond the saying, give me your email, and then I'll let you know when we have stock on the medium white t-shirt exact model that you are looking at this point, right? So I don't see how a conversational AI solution can truly be useful to customers if they are not if it is not connected to backend system, because that's where all the information resides, right? That's all the companies are having that valuable information in their systems, and connecting that is possible. So that platform should allow you. So for me, then the answer is low code. Yes, make sure that you have the tools that are easy to implement a natural language solution, but at the same time, make also sure that you have this freedom that Linette was mentioning, that to expand that solution easily to connect with your backend systems, and that is via code, no doubt.
And actually, that's quite interesting, because that seems to be the same line of responses that we got from our pool. So thank you everyone for answering. But we got 15% people voting for no-code platforms as what they want to focus on. 57%, so a strong majority, going for low-code platforms, and 27% for pro-code platforms. I will add my 2 cents on these two, and then I see the appeal on no-code platforms. I do see the appeal, right? The story is great. It's like, how much scale can you get out of them? How much value? That's what's in question. So I do understand why people want to start with the no-code platforms. On the low-code platforms, that's ideal. That's what I see as ideal as well for conversational AI, because these projects need to be alive. They need to evolve quickly. You have to be quick to respond to new campaigns. You have to be quick to respond to things that do not work, right? Add additional use cases. It's not a project it's a set project that you deliver, you build for 2 years, you deliver, and then forget about it, right? It's something much more closer to the agile methodologies, right? It's something that you have to launch your MVP and keep evolving it until it's stable enough. But even if it's stable enough, you will always launch a new project. You will always have new processes, right? So it needs to be alive. And then on the pro code, so low code is ideal, right? Because businesses can do those changes without always opening a ticket and going for IT and waiting whatever 3 months to get a change implemented, right? On the pro code appeal, that's a bit harder for me to understand, even coming from this business and working in conversational for the past 5 years. I see a lot of people that work with, for example, Rasa, or directly with the APIs from Watson or even Microsoft, etc. But I'm just to fully understand, and maybe Linette, you can help me on that. What's the appeal of the big just purely code solutions? Is the freedom? Is it like I can be my own master and I will just code everything that I need?
Yeah, I think that's the most appealing thing on it, that it's just you have freedom, you are your own, you are the one who is actually dictating how the system will be working. You understand perfectly what is happening behind, which is sometimes quite hard to get when you're using a platform that's already like pre-built for you, and you are not in direct touch with the developers, so you don't know what's happening behind. So I completely understand that there is this little urge or need for people who like to use these platforms and who like to have complete freedom, and even for exploration, right? Sometimes you're just interested how far you can go. You'd like to leverage the data, but you'd like to investigate and explore what other possibilities are there, because of course, like, local platforms give you a lot of freedom and a lot of options, but you're still a bit limited. So I think that the need there from developers' perspective is, okay, so can I just build something completely that hasn't been done yet, right? That hasn't been created.
Yeah, that's probably where innovation happens.
Exactly.
Because that everything else, I think, as a summary from what I have gathered, I think from this panel, probably the one with the least experience, like least technical experience for conversational AI. But I think it's not really about no code, low code platform, because the amount of code needed will be perceived as different, depending on who's taking a look at the platform. So if it's a business user, even if it's low code, for them it will be too much. If it's a developer, it might be too little. So there has to be, like, I think what's important is to choose a tool that will cover as much as you can the team that's going to be working on the solution. If it's only like purely business, then you probably need a no code or even low code platform. If it's you have like some developers and some more technical people, then you can go for pro code. And also it will depend on the use case, I would say. And coming from marketing, like we as marketers, we try to simplify these like very technical products to the market, and we end up using like sometimes by mistake or sometimes intentionally, but uh, confusing for the user these terms like as no code, when you actually know that there is going to be something involved because it's software. You need to be able to like there is a programming language underneath. The computer needs, it's not like you're going to be speaking English to the computer and it magically will do it. You still need to do something, some technical processes, but of course that's the appeal. That's how we like present it to the market, and maybe that's a little bit on us as well to improve moving forward. But so thank you, Miko. You already mentioned the results from the poll, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue with if I'm like a company that I'm starting my journey, or even like I have tried out some system. What is the recommendations that we can give when we're that company is trying to choose a specific platform to build the conversational AI solution?
Well, I think that in general, like for the general recommendation from my perspective and from the developer's perspective would be to try as many platforms as you can and to have your background to understand how different platforms work, because you can find out that some platforms are better for different use cases, and even you can get inspired in the other platforms, even if you, for example, the project owner tells you which platform you are about to be used, because not always it's in the hands of the developers, but still you can get inspired in different platforms and see how the different platform tackled with the problem you are actually looking at, and take it into the platform you are using. So I think it's very important to just broaden your skills and your experience different platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to add on this. I think it's a very good recommendation to test different platforms, because then you realize what is out there. What I would add on this is, when you are evaluating the platforms, whatever different platforms you are testing as much as you can, also, I like to say that you need to project yourself to the future, right? So there is the journey when starting to build a conversational AI solution in the business always starts typically one language, one channel, one business area, and then having one use case in mind. But then as soon as you see that this is really working, because technology is obviously mature since time ago, and it's really something that it's value, because it drives value inside your business, it's impactful there, you will expand it, right? So something that I've seen in some clients is that in the beginning they only evaluate some of the features of the platform, but they don't think that this is going to go into different languages, right? So typically you go one use case, one business unit, then when that works, you expand to different business units, you expand to different geographies, you expand to different, therefore to languages, you expand to channels, and then that keeps on growing, right? And then growing means that there will be many people working on the platform, so it needs to be a collaborative platform. It means that you don't want to build one solution in English and another solution in Spanish, French, Italian, whatever. You want to have something that is really managing, a feature that is really efficiently managing languages. The same solution, you want to have it in different channels, right? It's not only web, it's maybe a skill in Alexa, it's then an IVR, conversational IVR, then it's Facebook Messenger, whatever, right? You don't want to start the whole thing from scratch. So there is a variety of things that you want to evaluate, right? And another one, super important, total cost ownership, right? So how much, once you have gone live with the solution, how much is going to cost you in resources, in time of your people to keep that solution updated? Because keep it in mind, it's a live solution, right? It's like your call center. having the different protocols, it constantly changes. There's new things that you need to tell the agents in the call center. It's the same in a solution, right? So we will be keep on adapting to user needs, growing, and how much does it cost that in terms of resources? So I think it's as important as testing and understanding what is out there and see what is the best one that is living up to your needs, is make sure that you think, okay, in 6 months, in 8 months, what am I going to need? What I'm going to need to find in the requirements of the platform that I'm choosing now so that it's living up in this month's time.
Good. I think that what I will add to that is knowing what your use case is, by heart, because that's also one thing that will help you determine. I mean, if it's obviously you have to think ahead and imagine yourself in the future and how that solution is going to be, but there are certain departments that once like a solution has or a platform has been chosen, they might only want to do like a specific project, and it's okay for them to use like a low code or a no code platform to build that specific, because they just want it, for example, for a marketing campaign, it's going to be a one thing that will last a couple of months, and then you kill it, and then that's fine. At least you get to try another tool, and you get to test that, and that will make you even more confident once you want to develop something that's a little bit more strategic, that is longer on time, and it's going to be available to either enhance customer experience or some of the other different cases that we have seen with clients. But I think knowing what you want to achieve, it's key to be able to decide, okay, what tool will be like the most useful for what I'm about to do.
Actually, we have a really good question coming on like someone agrees with us that there is no silver bullet. That's a really good point. And the key issue that they raise in their question is like how to drive adoption, right? Enterprise adoption, which is that's what we focus on, right? That's our aim goal, not just to win a project, but to be able to grow within our projects and add capabilities, add channels, add countries, add brands, right? And our questionnaire says that, well, there are a couple standards that have already been applied quite successfully to drive adoption, like graphical interfaces around NLP training, model maintenance, and business process mapping, right, to paint out the conversational flows. But what's coming else? What's the next big feature that is going to drive adoption? What do you see, Joaquim, Linette? Linette, you go.
I'll probably need a few more minutes to think about it. What's the next thing that will drive the adoption? Maybe, Kim, if you have your answer out of your mind, you can say it.
Well, for me, the adoption of a solution that is going live in any business, right, is, and I'm going to say what I said before, it has to be useful, right? And this is very important, right? So your customers are going to be in front of a solution that if you are serving the needs that they are having, then that is going to be useful for them. They're going to talk about that. They're going to repeat. They're going to see that this is a valuable channel of connecting with you. And I say this is one more channel, right? You have the telephone channel, you have all the other channels that are social media, etc. That can be that you are connecting with your customers out there. If you prove that connecting with an intelligent chatbot is useful and it can be really serving any need that they have, that for me is the primary thing for getting that adopted. And it's less about what is the next feature that is going to be available in a platform that allows me to do that, because I think that we are in a very mature. So there will be new things coming up and new innovations, and will make it much easier to build the conversations, etc. All this keeps on getting better and better. But if you think of like a real case that you want to get traction and adoption from your customers, to make sure that this is a successful channel. For me, that is the key element. And the key element is via these integrations with all the needed backend systems that is allowing to give really useful answers. That is what I see in clients that has been great real adoption. And those that are not having those elements in place, it's just a matter of time. And maybe they are trying out, as your ladies was mentioning. That is fine. So you need to try out, and probably you need to fail to understand that what you want to see in a platform. So I failed with this because of this, that, and that. Now I know exactly what I'm going to look for in the next one that I'm going to do. That is absolutely fine. But in my experience, those clients that are not really able to provide these meaningful answers to the customers, it's just a matter of time that they either change or disconnect the chatbot.
If I can add my, oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, if I can add my 2 cents, there, like in terms of adoption, I'm not sure if, like from the question, we were talking about adoption internally, as, as a company, how other departments can start like thinking, okay, how can we apply conversational AI to our department to make it better, even if it's an internal process or an external process, because we have seen this happen within clients. And I think just what the person in the question was mentioning, like the graphical interfaces, all those advances have allowed business users to take ownership of that and to like say, okay, I don't have to wait for the developer anymore. I can start testing and trying out things. But in terms of customers with adoption, I think like the biggest change that we have had happen was the pandemic. With the pandemic, so many companies got on the wagon of having to offer, like a customer service online 24/7. There like the demand on and the weight put on those services was without precedence. So all these people demanding these type of services at the end push the adoption and make like digital transformation happen for so many companies that would have taken more years without the pandemic. So I think now that like users are able and are used to more shopping more online, being able to talk to a virtual agent, it's going to be very hard for companies to go back. So they still need to provide those people. I don't think those are going anywhere, and that has helped the technology mature even more. But yeah,
I wanted to add that on the side of the user, right, of the business user coding the experiences or the developer, I think there was an over reliance on technical geniuses, right, in terms of projects. So all projects kind of got their technical genius that knows everything, knows how the model works, knows how the integrations, and he's the only one that can have full ownership on the project. And if he leaves the company, that's it. That's total chaos, right? Or if he has a bad week, that's it. Your productivity drops. And that was because these platforms were not too focused on collaboration, right? So I think a big trend there's going to be on collaboration, and a lot of innovation is going to be pushed towards collaboration, right? For example, on our end, we have been working on more powerful version flagging, right? On automated testing. We have been working on a new web interface that it's meant to be used by business users to develop the conversations, right? Rather than working on the integrations or scripting, right? Which we have decoupled to be worked in some by more specialist profiles in let's say more granular pieces of the platform, right? And we push a lot on reusability, do smaller flows, do assets that can be used over and over in your implementation now and in the future, right? So we are pushing a lot on that concept of collaboration. There is no one unique feature that covers it all, but we try to make it so that it's easier to govern this type of projects when you have a team that is growing, right? That you start with one guy that knows everything, then suddenly it's 3, then suddenly it's 10, right? And you need an absolutely different way of govern your project and a different tool to be able to effectively scale, right? And to see those productivity increments from adding additional builders into your platform.
Yeah, I really like that what Mykola said about the collaboration, and that's something that actually popped up in my head. And I think that we can go like from the innovation perspective even further with that. And it's not just the collaboration within teams in the companies, but even like sharing knowledge between other companies and having data and information, secure information, not disclosing like personal information, but having different data sets and the different data shared across different companies that are solving different similar problems. And I think that we already see these trends, like with the templates, not only with the graphic UIs, but you can even have a template that seems for someone from the outside to be, for example, a rule-based chatbot, but it's actually built on NLP and it has the AI version of it, but you don't need to do anything in order to achieve the goal. So I think that's the future, that we will be more like sharing these knowledges and examples and even information that can actually help us leverage all of the potential that the technology has. So I think that's one of the great steps that we'll have with the adoption.
Yes, and I was just thinking, I think just to close it down, it's like right now I think we're still at a time that the profiles are very divided, so we tend to think of business users and technical people, but as these like companies evolve and their like their internal departments are also need go through changes. We have one client that part of their what used to be their customer service department got transformed in train, and now they're building their own chatbot solutions, and the ability for like that vendors are now providing for users to go ahead, register, test it out for free, build something. We have, as many other vendor, a large amount of documentation that's freely available for people to revise, train themselves. We have a foreign community that where they can go and ask questions. I think all these it's empowering users to, even if you're not a developer now, you can still build a solution, you can still do something, and as you grow and learn more confident, you will continue to add to that, and hopefully like build something for your startup, for your business, a pilot, something that you can present to your team. And I think that's really powerful. It's about democratizing the technology a little bit in the solution, and that's when I think technologies reach at a point that it's no longer for like the developers and no longer for like the very smart people. We all can have access to this and play with it, which is really good.
We have another comment actually coming in. It's more than a question. Is there are someone participating in our debate, which is great, right?
Yes.
Basically, they make a point about low code, not having to wait for IT, being able to build and deliver and start quickly, right? So it's about the good things on low code. It's about agility, right? But then they make a good point about procode, right? Which is around security of your application, right? On automating debugging and governance over your code base, right? Which is an interesting approach, right? So, for example, Joaquim, how do you see that sense of procode? I see all my code. I'm able to secure it. I have full governance of it. Do you see that appeal? Do you see that demand from customers?
Well, what I definitely see is that if you are using a procode platform, you really control everything that is in there, right? Because so the downside is that you need to build a lot of the assets that are already a given off the shelf in a low code platform. You need to build it, or maybe make use of code that is making that, but then you are able to go into all the details of that. And definitely I see the point, right? It gives you more control. So I think it's putting that, it's to balance, right? So how much you really want to have all that control and that possibility to debug to the last line of code, to the speed that you want to put in there to deploy a solution, right? So if you balance all that, and it will depend case to case. So it might be cases where it's really a very sensitive solution to what you are building, and you really want to be in control of every single thing. You are not having the luxury of having a problem at a certain moment in time and being for hours debugging that, right? So you want to have that in control. I see that there is, then it makes sense for specific occasions. In general, I think that when having implemented solutions with clients, there is always this balance, and there is always the business requirement that is pushing everything, right? So, and typically there are a constraint of budget and timelines, and the planning is always it's pushing, right? All the timelines and the deadlines where you want to see that project live, because the business user or the decision maker wants to see that working and saving costs for them already, right? So that balance needs to be in place. But I see the point of this comment. Me personally, I would balance that and put it more into the agility that will give you going into a low code platform because of the speed. And yes, there is this little, whatever minimal percentage that you will have to spend more time than that you would like in debugging a problem. But also what I would say is that, if it is a completely brand new platform out there, that it's the first year that is there out there, and then maybe there's a much bigger risk if you're going for a platform that is, broadly used by many other customers. Well, there are different versions of the platform. That means that they have gone through all these problems, that the typical problems are already resolved. Obviously, some bugs can be, and that's why a strong product teams, it's important to be super agile in fixing that.
So you're telling them just to use the Neo, right? Actually, there is a point, and I wanted to test with you and Linette as well. I have seen that we have been doing a big push on appification of our platform, right? Like on making not only on the front end, but also on the back end, and to be able to work more and more with code, right? And do things externally within Teneo. Is that a push that kind of caters to this type of demands as well?
Well, I think that definitely opening the different APIs gives you much more freedom, right? So, and that is another level of control that you can give to those developers that they want to do more things outside. So keeping the good things of going fast in developing a solution, but also controlling that from outside. And it can give you opening the APIs that we have in Teneo. It gives you the possibility, for instance, to publish a solution instead of going live straight away. You publish it to a file, to a Word file, and then you follow whatever QA process you have inside your company. And big companies are typically having very strict processes before they make a publication file available outside for their users. So that is giving you the possibility of automatizing that by calling this API and following all the process. And there will be more and more APIs that are opened. And that, yes, I agree, Miko, it goes a bit in the direction like, give you more control, because you can call this API and do whatever you need or whatever you feel more comfortable with, in having more control in what's happening behind the scene. Definitely. Good point.
Good. We have one more poll that I like to launch, and it's about whether, after this discussion, your vision about these different tools has changed. And I just launched it right now, so you are able to click on your answer, and we'll discuss in a few minutes the results that we get. But just summarizing this last block, it's I think, like, the important things are, first of all, to know what you want to build and not only think for the now but the future. And list out or point out all those things that are more important to you, whether it's security, whether it's collaboration, APIs, and make sure that your customer is really getting value out of the solution. And the second will be to test any platform that's out there that you are able to test, so you know, and you can differentiate between them, and you can really know what each of those are capable of. Actually, Lynette, she might be having problems at the moment
Yes. I'm not sure
with
if
the
you can.
connectivity, but she's just launched a new challenge, a developer challenge, to be, taking some developers along as they learn about Teneo. And that, I think that's an initiative that other vendors may have, but it's allowing you to not only test the tool, but having someone guide you by the hand, which is really good. We're also leaving you some links underneath that you can get on the attachment tabs, on how you can get access to this challenge and so on. And I had one more question that maybe Kim, you can answer. They say, first of all, what are the hardware and software prerequisites to install the Teneo client? But I think we're not going to go through those. I can actually reply to that, the person that asked that, just because it's a little bit off topic. But the other one is about the future of chatbots. Do we think voice interfaces will replace visual ones?
Well, yeah, and so for me, this is what is coming, right? Voice interface is what is the trend that we are already seeing. So if by voice you put it in a call center, that's a conversational IVR solution, and it's there. We see more and more cases that are going live, more and more clients that are interested, and more clients that they have already planned that, and for obvious reasons, right? So the technology is mature, so the speech recognition is mature enough to have a good experience in there, because that is the risk. Everyone has in mind some very clunky experiences when calling a call center and saying, "Yeah, tell me what you want," and then again, "Tell me what you want," and so that's really a dreadful experience, right? That you don't want to have in there. So phone is one of the main channels, of course, if not the biggest all over the places, right? So you want to make sure that that is really working, and the technology now it's good enough to make it happen. Again, it's going to be a solution that is connected to backend systems to make sure that you are being useful and then channel, right? So, and the good news when you are implementing a conversational chatbot is that you are able to control very well what happens in each step. So you may start very silently, just listening in what the customers are saying, and then you are learning from that. Then you route to the right agent that is already giving a lot of value, deriving a lot of value to the companies. But then later on, when you're ready in certain areas, you start resolving. In not everywhere, only in those specific areas that you have enough information that you feel confident. So the conversation, the voice is definitely there, and it can be implemented in a way that it's little by little giving the right comfort to the companies that are implementing it.
If I can add something to that, as a mother of two young children, yeah, voice is definitely in. They get to ask Alexa all the time. When I don't want to answer something, Alexa will do it. So, for them, by growing on that kind of environment where they're able to speak to technology, that's what they're going to be expecting, and I think companies need to be prepared for that. But also in the like our current world, and for us, if I pick a channel and if that channel is voice, I want to remain on that channel, otherwise I would have gone to text. So don't make the customer change channels unless like you really have to, unless you don't want the customer to be giving their password or something like that, by voice. But other than that, if they have made the decision to use that channel, I think you need to give them the option to do that. So I think that's it. That's the questions that we have so far. Unless anyone wants to add something.
I just will add that, and it's a bit linked to our poll results, where 46% of people are now like willing to test additional platforms. I think it's a really good time for a buyer, right? Challenge your vendors, ask for 3 trials, play with the tooling, review the documentation, right? Sometimes, okay, agreed, we don't have infinite resources, right? We need to deliver results. Sometimes just glancing through the documentation of the different vendors will kind of give you a grasp on the capabilities, right? If it's not documented, probably doesn't exist or it's not so broadly used, right? So play around. We invite everyone to go to teneo.ai, play around with our sandbox, right? All the capabilities are there. Yes, reach out to any of ours, and we will be more than happy to continue with the chat around conversational AI. This is all we do all day long, the only thing we know about, right? So we love it.
Awesome. And just wanted to thank everyone for being here, you guys, the speakers, and of course the audience. Yeah, as Miko said, reach out. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. You can find us at our website, artificialsolutions.com, through social media and so on. But thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.